Welcome to Unafraid Show Daily Live, where we give you the most important things in sports explained simply, quickly, and honestly. And we got three things going today. We're going to rank the top 2024 NFL draft first round quarterbacks. So you got Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, and Michael Penix through their first week of the preseason and see how all of this is going to go. The next thing up, I'm going to give you my reaction to the AP Top 25 because, yeah, they actually did a very good job for a preseason ranking, even though preseason rankings generally mid. Last thing up, Steph Curry just won an Olympic gold medal in Paris with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Curry cemented why not only is he a top 10 basketball player of all time, but why he has changed basketball more than any player ever. Yes, ever, people. But today, though, we will start with the NFL quarterbacks in the preseason. Of those rookie quarterbacks, because you got one preseason game in the books, and a lot of people are going to overreact to it. They are going to try to tell you about these guys' entire career after one preseason game. Don't buy it, don't listen to it. Here is what we can learn. What we can learn is who are the people that are poised, who make good decisions, and guys that actually have a chance. And then there's guys that show that they are a long way away and that they are more of a developmental player. And because it is a long way from what you see in a preseason game. So a player who has a good preseason game, that does not mean that he can do that against NFL caliber players on a week in and week out basis. Because if you do it once, it's an accident. You do it twice, you can really do it. And one of the biggest questions is who should start? Because there's this idea in the draft. Oh, who should start? He was drafted with the number one overall pick, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, that you have to start. That is not true because players need to start when they're ready. Because, and that's, I know for some people that sounds like a nebulous concept. Start when you're ready. And it's kind of like having a sensei in martial arts. And they tell the student, and the student asks the teacher, Sensei, when am I ready? When do I know that I've achieved the final level? And like, you will know when you're ready, my son. You will know when you're ready, my daughter. Because the student is looking for when, but you know when shows up. And people want it to happen now. But look at the history of quarterbacks who have sat down and waited. I'm talking about guys that are in the game now, except for Tom Brady, who just got out of the game. He sat. Aaron Rodgers sat. Jordan Love sat. Lamar Jackson sat. Jalen Hurts sat. There is so much history in the course of the NFL about quarterbacks sitting, even if they are highly talented, and not rushing them on the field. Because for every one of, Joe Burrow, Herbert, CJ Stroud, look what happened to Jared Goff his rookie year. People thinking he was a bum and couldn't play. Josh Allen was atrocious. Tua was atrocious. Bryce Young, his rookie year didn't go as expected either. So many people, it's happened so many times because there is impatience. Impatience. And the interesting part about it is that over the course of the history of salaries in the NFL. Now, when I was playing, rookie quarterbacks were getting, upwards of 30, 40, $50 million. The Sam Bradford $50 million signing bonus. And he was making more as a rookie than established veterans. So they changed the rookie wage scale. And at that point in time, they would be patient with rookies. So now with the rookie wage scale, where you are controlling costs for a short period of time for a player's first 4 years, why on earth wouldn't you exhibit the patience that they used to exhibit for, decades when they drafted quarterbacks? And I do understand that the players now are further along mentally and understand the game better now than players did back in the day because there's more film available. There is more lessons. There's quarterback coaches. There's more actual information. So there's more people that know it. So it makes the margins that much smaller. But here is the quarterback hierarchy after the first preseason game. And this is a combination of who actually put up the best performances. Part of it is opportunity, and then also how you should project and look at those things. All right, number 6, we have Drake Maye. 2 for 3, 19 yards. Now, Drake Maye he had limited opportunities because he is literally in the middle of a quarterback contest. Drake Maye is in the middle of a quarterback contest, 2 for 3, 19 yards, limited opportunities. And it's not at this point in time looking like he's probably pretty much not going to start. But the idea that he can be the number 2 or whether he's going to be the number 3, that's going to be the question surrounding Drake Maye. Number 5, I'm going to go with Jayden Daniels. And you're like, George, look at that great pass over the sideline. He moved the ball and all those things. You are right. But 2 for 3 for 45 yards, those are very limited opportunities. Now, was I encouraged by what he did? 100%. It looked good. And you're like, oh, okay, there can be a little bit of something there. And that part of it is honestly exciting. Now at number 4, you had J.J. McCarthy. He threw for almost 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And you might be saying, oh, well, George, how on earth could you have him ranked so low at number 4 when he put up such good yardage? Well, when you watch the game, there were times where the ball was in trouble. There were times where you just don't feel like he had command of the offense. And at the point in time of the game where he was playing, you're thinking, okay, he should be dominant in this point in time. And there were some times where he did well. But is he going to start over Sam Bradford? Probably not. But after 1 week, solid performance. You do it once, it's an accident. You do it twice, you can really do it. Number 3, Caleb Williams at the Chicago Bears. Well, number 3, Caleb Williams for the Chicago Bears. 4 for 7, 97 yards. And he had a couple of really nice plays. But there were 2 plays in particular that the ball was in danger. Neither of them ended up as an incompletion or a turnover because there were penalties on those plays. Now, he did show an ability to escape the pocket, but you're going to wonder how long that's going to translate when it comes to actual NFL talent, and that's going to be the question. But here is this, is when you look at the amount of time that he took to throw the ball on those 7 passes, because remember, Justin Fields held the ball too long last year. He actually held the ball for longer on his pass plays than Justin Fields did. But there's 2 parts to that. Number 1, he did a lot of rollouts and bootlegs, so those take a little bit longer. And so we're going to see if his escapability is going to translate. Number 2, Michael Penix Jr., 9 for 16, 104 yards for the Falcons. I'm excited about this kid. He is in a great situation because he's got Kirk Cousins in front of him. He doesn't have to play. And he is going to be the biggest beneficiary because at whatever time that he is called upon to play, if Kirk Cousins get hurt this year, doesn't play, or whether it's next year or the year after, Michael Penix Jr. is going to be full speed, Jordan Love style, and maybe even better out of the gate. And number 1, Bo Nix. Bo Nix had a hell of a game. 15 for 21, 125 yards, a touchdown, led 2 touchdown drives. Well, led 4 scoring drives, excuse me. He led 4 scoring drives, 2 that led to touchdowns and 2 that led to field goals. So if you're the Denver Broncos, you got good work actually out of Zach Wilson, and you got good work out of Bo Nix. I do not want, and everybody knows I'm an Oregon guy, but I do not want Bo Nix to be forced to start. Let Sean Payton put him out there whenever he's ready. If the offensive line is going to be bad, do not put your rookie out there. Let Zach Wilson take all of the grenades, John. Let him deal with all of that. The same way that the Carolina Panthers should have done with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young last year. Don't start Bryce Young. You know your team's going to be awful. And now you got people questioning him instead of putting him in a position to succeed. Be patient. Our next topic up. The college football AP Top 25 was released. and the Associated Press putting it out because I have gone in on them last year. Every single week, when there are inconsistencies, they will get pointed out here on the Unafraid Show. And I have some thoughts. Now, Georgia at number one. This absolutely makes every piece of sense in the world. Every piece of sense in the world with Georgia at number one. Because Georgia, my friends, is the best team in college football right now. You have to trust their head coach in Kirby Smart. You have to trust their quarterback in Carson Beck. And even though that they didn't finish last year as a college football playoff team, their statement victory against Florida State, even though their players were out, it made it, it showed that Georgia was like, listen, we not letting off this gas. I don't care who you put out there. And I have Georgia as my number one as part of my college football apostles preseason top 25. So I'll put that up there for you guys too, so you guys can see it because yeah, because this came out even before the AP poll, so you guys can look and compare to what we have over here on the Unafraid Show. Now, the one thing I cannot figure out in terms of the top 25 and the beginning of it is why the AP voted Ohio State above Oregon for the number two spot. Now, I'll give you the fact that Ohio State's returning defense, it actually might be one of the more impressive units of the last couple of decades. But if it comes down to trusting the head coach and quarterback, are we really putting Ryan Day and Will Howard above Dan Lanning and Dylan Gabriel? Now, I'll ask you guys that. Leave it in the comments, share with a friend, all of that stuff. Are you putting Dan Lanning and Dylan Gabriel over Ryan Day and Will Howard, or vice versa? Which one are you putting up? And I got to tell you, here's what the truth is that Dylan Gabriel's career completion percentage is higher than Will Howard has ever had in any individual season. And Will Howard's impressive full season at Kansas State last year, it would have qualified as Dylan Gabriel's worst season by far. Now, usually I just blame this on the Big Ten's reputation versus the Pac 12's, but there's no more Pac 12. I just think that these writers are a little bit confused when it comes to that one. Now, we got to look at some of these other rankings, though. And let's start with Alabama at number 5. Nick Saban is gone. And I will say that Kalen DeBoer, his recruiting has been highly impressive at Alabama, highly impressive. And I think that that's part of the reason why he left Washington is because he knew that he was going to be able to recruit at a high level at Alabama and easier than it was to Washington, even though Washington can be an absolute juggernaut in college football. Now, there were 20 players that left Tuscaloosa as well. And obviously, I just said Kalen DeBoer is a fantastic coach. And I don't think that Alabama actually lost enough off their team, considering what they brought in and the coaching as well, that they should be outside of the top 10. But inside of the top 5, yeah, no, that's a no for me. And I personally think that Ole Miss deserves more preseason respect than Alabama. Returning quarterback, they hit the transfer portal hard. This is probably Ole Miss's deepest team that they've had in maybe ever. And as far as the rest of the top 25, there are far more similarities between it and my personal top 25 than there are differences. Because we share 23 of the top 25 teams with the AP, giving shots out to Texas A&M and Kansas at number 20 and 22, and me including Washington and Louisville at 18 and 20. Now, we also have 5 teams ranked in the exact same spot and 11 within one spot of each other because I base mine on 3 criteria: schedule played as we get into the season, dominance, and quality wins. Now, in the preseason, you don't have that, but those are the criteria that the Unafraid Show poll is based upon. Now, the biggest differences that I can see here are Michigan getting a top 10 designation despite only returning not one, not two, but only three starters. And I think that the winning culture at Michigan is there. Are they going to have a distraction from all of the Netflix documentary, the notice of allegations, the stuff with Sharon Moore and Jim Harbaugh and everything else? That could be a distraction, but their culture is good. And it's not only is it not a good year to be breaking in an entirely new offense, especially with the defenses that the Big Ten has this year. I have the Wolverines lower than pretty much everybody else at number 21. And call me crazy. You can call me crazy if you want to. But I also like both Miami and Iowa to contend for a spot in the college football playoff. Because you got Cam Ward over at Miami. He gives Mario Cristobal the most dangerous weapon that he's had during his Hurricanes run. But the question is that Mario Cristobal's quarterbacks, including Justin Herbert at Oregon, did not light up the stat sheet the way that you would have thought it would have run. So the question is it the offensive coordinators that he's had, or is it the style of play that Mario Cristobal likes to play? Because he is going to instill an attitude of toughness and a mindset of physicality with his teams. No question. But the thing you got to watch about his teams are that they end up in a lot more close games than they should. And when you end up in close games, a penalty, drop ball, mistake, that can cause a loss instead of knocking the doors off of people and blowing people out. And then you got Iowa, who finally decided to end the days of Brian Ferentz putting his O in nepotism when it came to that disgustingly inept offense. Maybe it's addition by subtraction for the Hawkeyes, but when you look at the details of their first scrimmage, oof, I don't know if their fans are going to be excited at this point in time until they see some points go up on the board, because it might just be more the same with Cade McNamara under center. And the AP poll has Iowa at 25. I have them one spot outside of the top 12 because this defense is going to defense. And if they can get anything on offense, they're going to be a very, very dangerous team. Now, our biggest disconnect is one I have to point out as loudly as possible for my friends up in Seattle, for the Washington Huskies fans, because Washington finished 32nd in total votes heading into 2024. And I have the Huskies at number 18. And remember, I am the exact same person that had Washington at number 2 for the majority of last season, despite everybody else having them outside. I had them in front of Oregon, had them in front of a whole lot of teams as one of the 2 best teams in the country. And where did they finish? Number 2 in the damn country. Lost in the national championship game. And I want Washington fans to remember this. So tag a Washington fan here, because when I get called a bunch of haters and everything else, or Oregon honk, any of that during the middle of the year, by all the people with the purple avatars, make sure that y'all remind them of this and remind them of last season when I told them that they were one of the 2 best teams in the country. Now, another thing to pay attention to is the AP's highest ranked group of 5 team, because they're guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. And none of them made the top 25. But Boise State finished with the 28th most votes, so the 28th spot. And even with Caden Salter returning to Liberty to try to return last year's 13-1 season, that might be the one the voters actually come to regret. Now, you guys, let me know your thoughts on the AP poll headed into the season. What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And make sure to subscribe to Unafraid Show here on YouTube, and the college football and subscribe to the College Football Apostles podcast to get the best college football content all season long. Last thing up, Steph Curry. He just won an Olympics gold medal in Paris with LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Now, Curry cemented why not only is he a top 20 basketball player, but he's a top 10 player of all time. And people don't like to give him the credit, because he has changed basketball more than any player ever. in the history of basketball. The only person that can even compare to what Steph Curry has done throughout his career in terms of impacting basketball is Lou Alcindor when the dunk got banned. And now that Steph Curry has an Olympic gold medal in Paris, and we'll get into the LeBron James and Kevin Durant part, he has absolutely cemented his legacy as a top 10 player and the most impactful player of all time. Now, the reason why Steph Curry doesn't get the credit that he deserves and people don't want to acknowledge him as a top 10 player is because he does not have a juggernaut body like the other all-timers. All the other all-timers, LeBron James, Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Wilt, Magic, Bird, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan. What do they all have in common? Physical freaks. They can dunk on you. They can dribble the ball, fly high. They can do things that you can't coach because they're either super big, like Shaq, Russell, Duncan. They're bigger than other humans. Wilt Chamberlain. Or like Larry Bird, very tall individual, 6'8" individual. Kobe, Shaq, Jordan, LeBron, flying through the air, dunking on people. Steph Curry can't do that. And that's why people discount his greatness because he is, if you were comparing him to a superhero, he would be like Iron Man. Iron Man is one of the greatest superheroes of all time. Or you can, same thing with Batman. What is their actual strength? They don't have, the Superman powers to be able to fly. They don't have actual juggernaut power to be strong and run through everything. They don't have, Captain America going on, Thor. They don't have any of that. They're actually smart guys who figured out a glitch in the system and they have a special talent. They are smart, have resources, and everything else. And Steph Curry has changed the game at every single level of basketball. That's why he's the most impactful player. He's changed the way it's played in elementary school, middle school, high school, and in the NBA. Oh, excuse me, college, and in the NBA. Everything in between. Now you have to guard guys as soon as they walk in the gym. Guys are practicing better on their jump shots. Now all of a sudden there are more bad shots, but you can also have more people who can make those shots. It has changed the way defense has to be played because there are more good shooters. You have to stretch the court more. Nobody has had a bigger impact than Steph Curry. 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous, 10-time All-Star, 4-time champ, now Olympic gold medal, and he was the hero against Serbia and against France. 3,747 three-pointers made. Nobody's even close. His legacy is cemented, and give him the credit that he deserves. But I will say, though, that Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, the end of that game was magical. And the Serbia game, too. We got a chance to see players who are on a magical ride together because the ride's almost over. All of them been in the league over 15 years. LeBron's at 22. This ride's coming to an end soon. And to see them embrace each other and actually cheer for each other and be selfless and ball out, man, it warmed my heart because the ride's almost over. And who's going to capture our minds and hearts the way that they did? Because the history of the NBA says. So you had Dr. J, face of the league. Then you get Larry Bird and Magic. Then you get Michael Jordan. Then you get Kobe. Then you get LeBron and Steph. Now, who's up next? Is it Anthony Edwards? Is he going to be the next face of the league? Is it Jason Tatum? Is it Paulo Banchero? Is it Wemby? Is it Giannis? Who is going to capture us next? Who is going to not just be good? Because remember, the face of the league stays in the championship conversation. You either are in the finals, lose in the finals. Like, that's what it is. And that's what we need. And we got to figure out who it's going to be because these dudes' run is coming to an end. But you guys, though, that's the Unafraid Show daily live here. Make sure you guys share with a friend, tell a friend about it, get notifications, and most importantly, share. Peace out. Catch you guys Wednesday.